Hey guys, I'm Dr. Alyssa, and I wanted to take you back to one of the most terrifying seasons of my life as a brand new business owner. Now, it's November 2021, and my twin sister, Dr. Bree, and I made a decision that truly changed everything about our lives. We walked away from our stable PT jobs and we went all in on our very own business. Now, at the time, we had invested years into our education and skill set, but when we quit, we had no clinic, no brick and mortar space, we had no patients, and honestly, we had no clear plan. But what we did know was this: we could not keep working in an insurance-based model that truly wasn't helping patients, and it was slowly draining the life out of us. At the time, we had no referral network, we had no email list, we had no social media following. It was just the two of us, physical therapists, who believed that we could truly do better than the insurance-based model we had been stuck in. And we truly had absolutely no idea how to actually get patients in the door. If you've ever had that moment of, oh shit, what did I just do? You're definitely going to relate to this story. Because today I'm not going to tell you about our polished marketing strategies or any sort of fancy campaigns. I'm going to tell you about the scrappy, uncomfortable, and exhausting things we did to get our business up and running. There's no flexing, there's no overnight success story, just real tactics that worked when we were desperate and we didn't really know what we were doing. So let me kind of set the scene properly. Here's where we were at the time. So this is what we had. We had clinical skills. We were very good at our jobs. Again, we invested heavily in advanced orthopedic and pelvic health skills. We had a website that we built out ourselves over the course of a couple weeks. It wasn't great, but it worked. We had some business cards that we designed on Canva. We had about 2 to 3 months of personal runway finances before we'd have to panic, and we had each other. So thank God for a business partner and a twin sister. We had no clients. We had no other personal finances or family support. We had no marketing budget. We had really no referral relationships. We didn't really have a social media presence. Again, we had no email list. We had nothing from that perspective. And we had built really great relationships with physicians and providers when we were in the hospital systems. But what we didn't know at the time were that the hospital-based kind of providers are loyal to the hospital, and it takes time to really build those relationships. So here I am Googling, can a business fail before it even starts? And we had no job. So this was kind of that scrappy mode that we were in. But we had been through really hard things in our personal lives. And so we knew that there's not much harder than what we had already been through. And so scrappy is kind of who we are. What we did do is we just told everybody that, like, hey, by the way, I started a business. I would message people. I wanted to share something exciting. My sister and I just opened a pelvic floor PT practice, and we specialize in pelvic pain and postpartum recovery, complex conditions, etc. You might not find this to be relevant to you right now, but if you know anybody that is dealing with pelvic floor dysfunction, like, we'd love to help. And we send off our website to folks so that they just became familiar with who we were and what we did. And then my sister, she did the same thing. Between us just sending messages to folks, we must have sent 100, 200 messages within like a few weeks. Truly, the response rate, maybe 10%. Most people just said kind of like, congratulations, and then never mentioned it again. But there were people that actually said, hey, I've been meaning to reach out to you, and we heard that you two were great. How can I come and see you? And now we're like, oh shit, we have no space. We didn't really plan that this would work out. We were going to people's homes. So we actually started as a mobile practice. One of the beginning clients was like a CrossFit friend of mine who had been dealing with some pelvic pain during workouts. One was from a coworker's wife that had a prolapse after having their baby. And a couple of our beginning patients were from Bree's networks, people that she had really great relationship. And some of them had actually failed previous in-network PT and wanted results. None of them were referrals in a traditional sense. They were just people who were in our atmosphere who needed help and knew that we existed. So make a list, 50 to 100 people message them individually. Don't ask for anything. Just let them know you exist and what problems you solve. It feels kind of awkward to do it, but do it anyway. And if you have a business partner, double your reach. Both of you should be doing this. If you don't have a business partner, then 100 people within your network is what you have to do. And then Bree had an idea, like, what if we just talk to more people and walked into a yoga studio or a CrossFit gym or a wellness center. So that's what we did. We printed out fancy flyers at Staples because our printer sucked, but we split up to cover more ground, and some places we went together and we introduced ourselves, and we made a list of a couple of awesome businesses in the area that we were already supporting and said, hey, I'm Dr. Alyssa from Renew Health, and this is, my twin sister, Dr. Bree, and we just opened up our own pelvic floor PT practice. We specialize in helping folks with pelvic floor dysfunction, and we'd love to be a resource for your community, because ultimately keeping people in the yoga studio, keeping people in the gym, working out, doing the things that they enjoy, that's ultimately what matters. And there's so much opportunity for us to keep those people exercising and doing what they love. So one yoga studio owner said, oh my God, I've been looking for someone local who does this. And we absolutely hit it off. And eventually we co-hosted a workshop together, and it was super successful, and people were so appreciative of the knowledge that we brought to the table. And that's been a really great relationship for us. A couple CrossFit gyms said, hey, we actually already have a PT that we work with. Some said, leave your info. And then a couple were like, hey, can you actually do a free workshop for our members about pelvic health? Because this is a huge problem in our gym. And we said, absolutely. And so even our beginning workshops had 10, 15, 20 people attend, which felt amazing because we were able to provide massive value to folks who were already heavily investing in their healthcare and in their active personal lives by showing up to the gym, going to the yoga studios, and we really enjoyed those beginning workshops that we had started. You want to show up in person, be genuine, offer to provide value. A free workshop is a really great resource for their members. Definitely try to find those connections with folks in your local community. When we were first starting out as well, we were like, do we even have a Google My Business? And we ironically Googled it on how to figure out how to do that, because we didn't. Not only were we struggling with people finding us, we weren't even on Google. So we claimed our business on Google. We added a ton of details like specific business hours, services that we offered, so pelvic floor dysfunction, postpartum recovery, endometriosis, prolapse, etc. And then we posted some photos of us, professional but approachable. We wanted to make sure that we included, pictures of both of us. We did not have any sort of fancy headshots or anything like that. And then we wrote a detailed description focusing on the problems that we solve, not just that we're physical therapists. More specifically, it was physical therapists, pelvic floor, physical therapy, women's health. And then we published it. It took time. These things don't happen overnight, but it took time, and we started getting some phone calls. Hey, I found you on Google. I'm looking for a pelvic floor PT that specializes in my condition. And when we talk to folks about what we do that's different, particularly compared to an insurance-based clinic, people are like, yeah, I've already been there. I've already done that. I definitely want to do something different. I don't want to have surgery. I don't want to have the same type of care that I had before. And so we were suddenly starting to get a heck of a lot more inquiries when we were on Google, and a lot of our early patients were so gracious and left us Google reviews about their experience. That really helped because people are searching for physical therapy that is different than a hospital level system. And that was a really kind of big turning point for us, was being able to have folks actually find us on Google. We really talked about what made the difference for our clients that we were working with and the successes that we were having, again, compared to maybe what they had in a different kind of setting. We made sure that our Google was current with specific hours, services, photos, and this was all organic. It was just a really well optimized free Google profile. A tactical takeaway if you're just getting started is set up a Google business profile today. Make sure that you complete every single field and make sure that you are asking your clients for reviews. This is free marketing that actually works. And then not only Google, but also again, social media is huge. If I go on social media and I look up a practice and they only have maybe a couple posts, that practice in my mind might not be relevant. So getting on social media is also super helpful. Now, you don't have to post all day, every day, but we kind of started with more of a scrappy content strategy of posting just a couple times a week, making educational carousels on Canva, right? That's easy. Posting videos, again, that are filmed just on our iPhones, right? It doesn't have to be fancy. And then some kind of behind the scenes or patient testimonials and things of that nature too. So make sure that even if it's uncomfortable, that you are posting the content, because providing massive value to people is why we're in business as pelvic floor therapists. is making sure that, again, we're providing value to consumers. So it could be 5 signs that your pelvic floor maybe has too much tension and is not just weak, or why Kegels aren't the answer for everyone, or what to expect in your first pelvic floor PT session, why your pelvic pain may be coming from your stiff, immobile hips, but doesn't have to be groundbreaking, just solid, truthful, helpful information. Now, in the beginning, we were getting like 50 to 100 views per post, like no comments, no DMs, no new followers, but we kept going. Then suddenly, one of our posts on Instagram got over 20,000 views and a ton of comments. And then another one on TikTok hit 111,000 views, almost 400 saves. And then social media really started working for us, and we just became that much more comfortable with posting online. A tactical takeaway, especially if you're just starting off, is start posting consistent educational content, even if no one's watching yet. Engage in local online communities, DM people warmly, asking them if they need help with anything, and just honestly be human, and social media will feel much more comfortable the more you do it. What worked for us in moments of stress in the beginning of our practice was personal network outreach, super uncomfortable but essential, local business partnerships. So again, 2 to 3 really good relationships is all you need to start. A Google My Business profile, so it's free, it's easy, high ROI, consistent content through social media, and pick a platform and just kind of run with it. And then of course, over delivering on patient experience. So making sure that you are going above and beyond, not just from a customer journey perspective clinically, but also in the way that you systematize your processes for patient engagement. Super helpful.